Our time is finite. You don't need to prove anything to anyone except yourself. Live a life that does you proud, even in your final breath. Leave this world inspiring. So, let's discuss our priorities. What we feel is our priority right now follows a predictable pattern described by Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The idea is that an individual's most basic need must be met before they become motivated to achieve higher level needs. Deprivation is what causes deficiency. So when one has unmet needs, this motivates them to fulfill what they are being denied. Physiological needs are the base of the hierarchy. These needs are the biological components of human survival. They are factored into internal motivation. Humans are compelled to satisfy physiological needs first to pursue higher levels of intrinsic satisfaction. If a person is struggling to meet their physiological needs, they are unwilling to seek safety, belonging, esteem, and self-actualization on their own. Once a person's physiological needs are satisfied, their safety needs take precedence and dominate behavior. In the absence of physical safety or economic safety, they manifest themselves as preference for job security, insurance policy, accommodation, etc. The third level of human need is interpersonal and involves feelings of belongingness. We possess an effective need for a sense of belonging and acceptance among social groups, large or small. Being a part of a group is crucial, regardless if it's work, sports, friends, or family. We need to love and be loved by others. Many people become susceptible to loneliness, social anxiety, and clinical depression in the absence of this love or belonging element. Esteem is the respect and admiration of a person, but also self-respect and respect from others. Most people need stable esteem, which is soundly based on real capacity or achievement. Maslow noted two versions of esteem need. The lower version is the need for respect from others and may include a need for status, recognition, fame, prestige, attention. The higher version is the need for self-respect and can include a need for strength, competence, mastery, self-confidence, independence, and freedom. The hierarchies are interrelated rather than sharply separated. This means that esteem and the subsequent levels are not strictly separated. Instead, the levels are closely related. What a man can be, he must be. This quotation forms the basis of the perceived need for self-actualization. This level of need refers to the realization of one's full potential. Maslow describes this as the desire to accomplish everything that one can, to become the most that one can be. I Am Mayol is a workshop program for individuals seeking self-actualization. Let's say we conduct an experiment. We take a petri dish filled with nutrients and add a single bacterium in it. The bacterium consumes the nutrient, grows, and divides into two every minute. After 12 hours, it is observed that the dish is completely filled with bacteria. Can you correctly guess what time it is when the dish is half filled with bacteria? Is it 6 hours? 6 hours 30 minutes? 11 hours 59 minutes? Or 9 hours 45 minutes? The correct answer is 11 hours 59 minutes. Most people get the answer wrong and assume it to be 6 hours on the clock when the dish is half full. It's a trick question designed to test one's understanding of exponential growth. As the bacteria grows and divides into two every minute, it doubles in mass every minute. The double of half is full, so it takes a minute to consume the full dish from half. This is why 1 minute from 12 hours, that is 11 hours 59 minutes, is the correct answer. To get a better understanding of this, let's draw a chart. On the x-axis, we have the time on the clock, and on the y-axis, we have the space occupied by the bacteria. Plotting the points, we find that the space occupied stays at almost zero for most of the time. And as we approach 12 hours, the line shoots up vertically. Such a type of graph is called exponential growth. If the line was observed to be straight, like this yellow one, it is termed as linear growth. It is characteristic of an exponential growth to rise up vertically at the end of the chart. Now, let's view the same chart from another angle, plotting it based on available free space. And let's assume we are the bacteria in the dish, and the time is 11 hours 58 minutes. We look around and see 1/4 of the resource has already been consumed, but 3/4 of it is still unutilized. One of us asks the question, how long do you think the 3/4 unutilized resource will last us? So we use our head and start calculating. Okay, from 0 to 1/4 it took us 718 minutes to utilize. A resource 3 times of this is available. So making a conservative guess, it will last us another 718 minutes before we consume the remaining resources. But lo and behold, to everyone's surprise, we only have 2 minutes left until we run out of resources. This is a chart of world's freshwater consumption. Starting out somewhat linear, it shoots up towards the end. A classic exponential growth. Let's do some real-world application of the knowledge we just gained from the experiment. Taking the city, town, or village you live in as the center and water as the resource we want to analyze. How long will the source of fresh water supply last? In the case of the bacteria, we wrongly assumed it to last for another 718 minutes, instead of the correct answer, 2 minutes. We were off by a factor of 359. How much of the freshwater resource has been consumed so far in your case? How long will the remaining resource last? By what factor your answer will go wrong? Makes you wonder, doesn't it? Fossil fuel. The evolution of man from ape is a journey of energy. Food security has shaped human evolution so far. Energy security will shape the rest of our future. The change in the diet from fruits and nuts to meat gave our ancestors the ability to develop a large brain, and it set the course of human evolution into the thinking man, Homo sapiens. The next leap in human evolution came with the ability to yield fire. This profound change in energy access from food to fuel secured our dominance on this planet. The discovery of fossil fuel accelerated human progress. But unlike firewood that fueled our dominance on Earth, fossil fuel has a nasty sting up its end. The availability of fossil fuel follows a bell-shaped curve. Oil production initially starts from zero, and then someone discovers ways to use petroleum for our benefit. This drives demand, and in turn, people start searching for new sources. As new sources are discovered, the production increases, and the graph rises. At some point in time, we would have discovered all the petroleum reserves available on Earth and extracted from it. This moment in time is termed as peak oil. Beyond this point, there are no new reserves to be found. The old reserves start running dry. The production of petroleum reduces as time passes. This increase in production, peaking, and reduction in production form a bell-shaped curve, hence giving the name bell curve. Theoretically, we reached peak oil in 2007, but practically, the curve is not turning out to be a bell curve. The production has somewhat plateaued. The reason for plateauing is most likely the extraction of petroleum from new, previously uneconomical sources like shale oil and sand oil. This scenario, however, raises concerns for us, as it makes our civilization even more dependent on petroleum than it theoretically can be. Instead of a smooth decline like in the bell curve, a plateauing graph ends in a steep cliff. This is a graph showing global energy consumption by source. We have years in x-axis and consumed energy in terawatt hours in y-axis. As mankind has been using traditional biomass as a source of energy since time immemorial, it is observed as a red steady line. Coal, petroleum and natural gas, being discovered only in the 19th century, comes into the picture in the early 1900s and rises exponentially. Nuclear, hydropower, wind, solar, modern biofuels and other renewables only comes into the picture recently and make for only a small part of our energy supply. As of 2019, coal, oil and petroleum or fossil fuels make up 84% of our total consumption. The world as we know it runs on fossil fuel. This begs the question, what is this energy used for? Well, one of the ways this energy is used is in food production. When we talk about calories in our food, there are two kinds. One is the amount of calories we get by eating the food, and another is the amount of calories it took to make the food. For every calorie we consume as food, it takes 12 calories of energy to produce it. Let us take the example of a bowl of rice. A typical cup of rice contains 160 calories of energy. But for that cup of rice to be presented for consumption, first a farmer somewhere has to grow it. He has to till the land using a tractor, fertilize the land with nutrients, irrigate the field with water, harvest it when it's ripe, store it, transport it and sell it. Then it has to be milled and packed for consumption. We then have to buy it, clean it, and cook it. All these processes require energy. From the diesel to run the tractor, to natural gas to produce fertilizers, to fuel to drive the transport truck, to electricity to mill the paddy and cook the rice. All in all, to produce a cup of cooked rice, it requires 1920 calories of energy, or 235 milliliters of petrol. More if we take into account inefficiencies. Without this 1920 calories of energy, the bowl of rice will never see the light of day. This graph represents the world population growth. As you can see, it starts somewhat straight and shoots up at the end, a classic exponential growth. The spike in the population begins around 1900s, coinciding with the Industrial Revolution. With the invention of steam engine and later on petrol, diesel engine and the discovery of electricity, mankind could now get more things done. All of a sudden, we got a boost of energy to do things and was no longer limited by human labor or animal power. Machines paved the way for human growth. To better understand this point, let's superimpose the earlier graph of energy consumption onto the population graph. There is no argument about it. It's a perfect fit. In fact, it's such a perfect fit, it exposes a disturbing fact about our current situation and the path we are headed towards. What disturbing path, you ask? As you can see from the graph, without fossil fuel to power human civilization, the total human population never could grow beyond 1 billion. Increase in food production is very closely tied to increase in population. From our previous section, we know that for every calorie of food we eat, 12 calories of energy is needed for its production. As of 2022, there are now 8 billion of us on this planet. And for every calorie we 8 billion eat, 12 calories of energy is needed to produce it. 84% of our energy source is fossil fuel. This fossil fuel is the source of the 12 calories. Remove this 84% from the equation and there won't be enough food production to support 8 billion of us. As the number goes, for every 10 people, 8 will go hungry and starve to death. Now, let's impose another graph on this. This time it's the bell curve. Ladies and gentlemen, fossil fuel is burning out. Have no doubt. If it's a bell curve, the burning out is gradual. If it's a plateau, the end of fossil fuel is a jump off the cliff. A juvenile Scipionyx, a theropod dinosaur perfectly preserved in sandstone. Samoria, a primitive amphibious reptile. And Tel Megiddo, an archaeological site in Israel. These three relics of the Earth's past have a common story to tell about this planet we call home. Ellie, extinction-level event. Scipionyx belong to a group of animals we know as dinosaurs. Dinosaurs inhabited this Earth 240 to 65 million years ago. Their time came to an abrupt end when Earth was hit by a giant asteroid. The impact created a huge explosion, killing everything around it and displacing smoke and dust into the air for thousands of kilometers. The smoke and dust suspended in the air blocked most of the sunlight from reaching the Earth's surface. As the sunlight got blocked, plants could not receive enough energy to grow. More importantly, the water cycle got disrupted. As there wasn't enough sunlight to evaporate vast quantities of water from the ocean to form clouds and bring rain to the land. Severe droughts lasting decades spread over the continent. This in turn killed off plant life, and in a chain reaction, herbivores and carnivores also died off, leading to a mass extinction and the end of the dinosaurs. Samoria belonged to a different group of animals. They walked on Earth long before the dinosaurs, more than 250 million years ago, in a time known as the Permian period. And like the dinosaurs, their time on Earth too came to an abrupt end due to a cataclysmic extinction-level event. But it wasn't an asteroid that spelled their doom. It was a supervolcano explosion in Siberia that led to their demise. A massive supervolcano erupted in the Siberian region. It spewed dust and smoke thousands of kilometers into the air, leading to blocking of sunlight and disruption of the water cycle, causing severe and extensive droughts, killing plants, herbivores, and carnivores, leading to the Permian extinction. Tel Megiddo, or calling by its Greek name Armageddon, is the ruins of an ancient Bronze Age city. The events that happened here which led to its ruin has inspired countless lores. The Bronze Age of the human civilization saw the rise of great city-states like Athens, which laid the foundation of modern democracy. This period witnessed the construction of the great wonders of the ancient world, from the pyramids of Giza to the hanging gardens of Babylon. But all these greatness came to an abrupt end with the sudden collapse of the Bronze Age. Like the Permian extinction 250 million years ago, the collapse of the Bronze Age was ushered in by a massive volcanic eruption. It was the Hekla tree eruption in Iceland. It spewed dust and smoke thousands of kilometers into the air and blocked sunlight, leading to a failure of rainfall, causing extensive droughts in the European subcontinent. Geological evidence suggests droughts lasted up to 20 years during this period. Lakes and rivers dried up, crops failed, food and water became scarce, causing starvation and death. Survival became a daily struggle, and most did not make it. Civilization collapsed, cities burned, anarchy prevailed, and all great things got lost. In these three stories, the extinction of dinosaur due to the impact of an asteroid on Earth, the Permian extinction due to the eruption of a supervolcano in Siberia, and Bronze Age collapse due to the Hekla tree volcano eruption, there is an underlying theme we can pick up. The coming of an abrupt end to their world was always preceded by a major energy reduction event. Life needs energy. Without it, it will cease to exist. A storm is brewing, and it is being made even more destructive by the path we have laid so far. A perfect storm. We are staring at an energy reduction event headed our way. Our exponential growth has brought us ever more closer to exhaustion of essential resources. The struggle for clean, fresh water is beginning to affect every household. We have seen Ice sheets frozen for thousands of years melt away. We have experienced the heat waves and tropical storms predicted by climate change scientists in their models. We have seen civil war break out in the Middle East due to food shortages caused by climate change droughts. We have seen forests and the wildlife in it disappear in a scale so great it is termed as a mass extinction. Our civilization is ever more dependent on fossil fuel. As our population keeps growing, these problems keep magnifying. If we reduce our population growth to try and mitigate these issues, we are faced with yet another undesirable outcome. As birth rate decreases, the number of children in a family decreases. Following this current trend, by 2050, the overwhelming portion of our population will be old and dependent, needing support and care. This situation leads to an overload of responsibility to the young and productive population of the time. By 2050, we will be the old and dependent, and it will be the children born now who has to take up the responsibility of taking care of everyone. There will be more of us to take care of and less of them to take the responsibility. On top of this, our exponential growth will have brought us to the limit of available resources. It will have become unimaginably difficult to secure essential resources for one's survival. 2 to 3 degrees global temperature rise will have set in, causing sea levels to rise, coastal regions to submerge, and extreme weather events frequent. Rainfall-dependent agriculture will no longer be reliable. Civil and political unrest will be rampant. Forests, which would have softened these impacts, would have been all but wiped out. And then, the end of oil will set in. All available oil reserves will be claimed by governments, and oil will become off limits for civilians. It will be kept for military use, and only well-connected and privileged individuals will get access to it. Food prices will shoot up. The shortage of fossil fuel, which had been abundant and driven the costs of energy down, will give rise to rising energy costs. This will be felt as electricity cost. Energy will become unaffordably high for the masses. The children of today have no hope of survival when this day comes. They are too young now, and they will be too late then. Unfortunately, the only people who can make a difference are too busy fulfilling their priority of needs, trapped in their own pyramid. Fate whispers to the warrior, "You cannot withstand the storm." The warrior whispers back, "I am the storm. I am Mayol." Mayol is an organization set up to ensure the continuation of human civilization even after the energy reduction event. For even a glimmer of hope at making it through this with a positive outcome for mankind, we need an energy solution that can compensate for the loss at the end of oil. And Even if we have this magical energy source, we will have to effectively solve millions of problems thrown at us on this journey of surviving the apocalypse. Avoid the temptation of conflict and war, and work together collectively to solve every problem. This in itself will be another miracle to pull off. As the timeline of these events are stretched 30 years hence, those who can actually make the difference may not find it worth their time. It would be more sensible to them to live their lives to the fullest now, instead of sacrificing it for the future. But this workshop is not for them. And so, the question is pressed upon you. Not worth your time? Or are you Mayol? If your answer is the latter, then part 2 of this workshop awaits you.